Afternoon.
When you look at the intermediate passing game, kind of that 5 to 10 yard range, what do you see as some of the things you guys need to clean up to be a little bit more efficient in that area?
You said the 5 to 10 yard.
Yeah, kind of those intermediate.
Yeah, I think. I don't think it's one thing. I think everything working together, just timing, protection, routes. I mean, there's not one thing that goes into it. It's like most things on offense, 11 guys working together.
When you got a trip like this coming up, is it a challenge for the coaching staff to make sure these guys don't have one eye on Greenbrier and the rest of the trip?
Yeah, it's a great point. It's happened. We've had some experience going to London, and it's always that game before that you really have to keep your eye on. Because, you got to go home tonight, get packed, and there's a lot of extra details. And so it was something that Sean addressed early in the week. He made a big emphasis on it, so it's certainly been addressed.
Sean talks a lot about having tags, players have tags on them for certain plays. I'm wondering, with Cord coming off a week where maybe he doesn't have a lot of targets, is there a line between manufacturing touches for somebody and just playing within the system, or how do you think about?
Yeah, I think in the first game, we felt like, maybe we should have had more breaks for him. We thought there was a couple snaps where maybe he looked tired. So, we put a lot of thought into who's on which route, and for a guy like him, it's not so much like, oh, we don't want him on the field. It's just making sure he's fresh at the end of the game. So, you can't. There are routes where he's primary, and you're hoping that you catch the right look and he gets the throw. It doesn't always work like that. So he's definitely a big part of every game plan, and sometimes the flow of the game is such that he doesn't get the throws like we thought he would. But certainly not someone we're looking to play 25 plays a game. We just want to make sure he's out there when we need him.
Coach, a couple of plays you had Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin on the field at the same time. How much of a threat is their speed with both on the field?
Yeah, I hope it's a lot. You got to certainly pay attention to when they're on the field, make sure that, we have some balance between run and pass. And both those guys are good enough route runners. They don't always have to run deep. So it's just, you want to keep a track of your tendencies. But, I think they're both, that speed's important and it loosens up the defense. So, having them on the field, is important.
Time for two more, Brandon. A couple times, he said Sunday after the game, talked about it Monday, and we were asked yesterday about simplifying things, maybe less, personnel changes and all that, groupings. How do you guard against simplifying things versus going away from what's worked?
I think, in my mind, you're only going to get 60 to 80 plays a game, and just paying attention to how many plays on the call sheet you can actually call. So I think certainly we want to pay attention to, what we're giving the players within each individual play. But I think as much as anything, it's just the volume. Just make sure we're not overwhelming them with more plays than we could possibly run. And so I think when we talk about simplifying, it's just, for me anyway, it's more, how many plays are we practicing versus all the other stuff.
Each of these last two games, you found some success in the 2-minute drive in the fourth quarter. Are there things that you can kind of take from that and extrapolate, or is it just such a different kind of element?
It's a different element, but I think also, it's the 2 minutes usually plays that, Bo's got a lot of reps on. So I think just taking that lesson, I think when he's comfortable, he's going to play better. And so just make sure that, the play, that he's comfortable with what we're doing. And I think that's as much of it as anything.
When you look at the film, and just why do you think Zach Allen's been able to have so much success in 2 days?
Well, he's a good player, first of all. He works at it. He's smart. Obviously, when you game plan and guys have time to watch film, good veterans figure out, ways to make plays, within the scheme. He does that very well. Obviously, we have, in my opinion, better rush inside next to him. So the turn's not always going to Zach. Last year, everyone turned to Zach. Now we got guys inside who can rush opposite of Zach. So it's pretty fair. So he's getting some one-on-ones that he's winning.
Go ahead. Sean Payton mentioned they for Zach it's play snap 16 to snap 48.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Just how
Yeah.
type of energy for a whole game?
It's a good thing. Obviously big guys, wear down quicker than smaller guys because the job's different. But he's in great shape, and again, he was mentored by J.J. Watt, who played every down, and that speaks to the offseason. That speaks to how they train, how they eat, their lifestyle. So, I'm not surprised he can play that many snaps. Now, it's not always good because, big guys do wear down, and you want big guys fresh. But he's shown over the years he can play multiple snaps.
2018 Senior Bowl.
Yes.
You were there with Baker on your team, Josh Allen.
Yes.
Did you kind of follow those guys' journey ever since you kind of were invested in them right off
Yeah.
the bat there? And talk about
Yeah.
Baker, how he's come along.
Of course, I followed all those quarterbacks from that game. Multiple players. Even Fred Warner was in that game with us. So yes, but Baker is a great story. Obviously, he came in as a young guy, had some success early, and then kind of had a downfall, and he's back. That speaks to his character and speaks to the coaching and his will to keep improving. And not just to the outsiders. Even with Geno Smith, the first week we played Geno. Same kind of career. But it's been good to watch him come back. He's always been a confident guy. He's always been a playmaker. So that stuff wasn't going to shake him personally. Just being in the right system, having good players around him, maturing, and it's been good for him. But he's playing at a high level. He's playing the best I've ever seen him play. Throwing the football, putting the guys in great plays. He's escaping Mike, the pocket a lot right now. He's making guys miss. He scored on a quarterback draw last week, so he's extending plays. He can make every throw. He's got a big arm, not a tall guy, but has a big arm, and he's got targets. So obviously it's going to be a challenge to get him stopped on Sunday, but he is playing well.
Vance, you talk about the targets. It feels like Mike Evans maybe doesn't get talked about the way Jefferson or Adams or Tyreek does, but you look at his production.
Yeah.
How hard is he to stop? Plus, then throw Godwin in the mix.
Well, he's one of the best. You look at Mike Evans and the guy in Vegas. Those two guys are special players, and they kind of go under the radar a little bit because they've played so long at a high level. You kind of assume and expect it, but Mike Evans is one of the best. He's had the yards, the receptions, and the consistency over the years that you look for Hall of Fame players, and so he's that. Along with Godwin and McMillan. They've got 3 targets. So we're back to week 1 again, where they have 3 pass catchers, an experienced quarterback who's playing well, good runner, a good O-line. So it's going to be a challenge. But that's the league now. Everyone's got pass catchers. Everyone's got quarterbacks who play on a high level, and it's a passing game for the most part. So that's the challenge every weekend in this league.
Time for one more. Pat's been called. Pat?
There you go.
Pat's been called for an unusual amount of penalties over his first 2
Yeah.
games. Do you coach him to play different, be less physical, or do you think those are just
Yeah.
a couple of
I think penalties come in 2 forms, right? You have penalties that are just silly penalties that happen, pre-snap. It takes no talent. But I think when corners are battling the best receivers in the league, battling big guys, trying to find the ball, both guys are hand fighting, those things are going to happen. I'd rather a corner be close and compete versus letting guys catch the football. So I have no problem with Patrick competing. Obviously, you want him to play cleaner all the time, and you're always talking about hands off, win with your feet, win with your eyes, attack the ball. That's always being coached and talked about, but you want guys to be close, and corners that are close will make more plays than corners who's not. So I'm okay with Patrick being aggressive. He's covering the best guys in football and doing a good job on those guys. So some of that stuff we'll live with. We don't want that, but I'll live with some of it.
Last question, Jeff.
That's where I was going.
Sure.
He seemed frustrated that he felt he's playing the same way.
Yes.
Do you see he's playing the same way?
I think some of those calls are, they're up for interpretation. They can go either way. Both guys are hand fighting. Both guys are trying to find the football. Obviously the DB has to get his eyes back. If his eyes are back finding the football, in the past it's been clean play. So he's always looking for the football. So he's never grabbing guys not looking for the football. So we'll see. Everyone calls it differently. It's sometimes gray, but I want those guys being aggressive and finding the football.
Was that your message to him?
Absolutely, absolutely. Even right after the play, keep challenging this kid. Keep being aggressive. Just find the football. You'll be fine.
Would you rather give up that
Well, it depends. Obviously, in this league, I mean, they give him the yardage, but you want him to compete and put on an official to make the call. And to me, I'm a defensive guy, so it's never a PI, right? It's never a PI. It's always a PBU. That's how I see it. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. Any questions you may have?
Riley's pumped up. Wouldn't you say?
I would say he's doing a really good job so far this year. Ball striking, numbers back that up. We've had some good coverage too, so a handful of things we still need to work on there, Mike, but like where he's at so far and just excited about where he's going to go from here.
How much does the strategy change? Because you're at sea level week 1, and then now you're going to sea level next couple of weeks versus being here in terms of kickoffs and wanting to maybe use.
Yeah, well, obviously the ball is not going to travel as far, in those locations. So, but still, we just have to make some adjustments and such as far as the way we deliver the football and that. But we just got to continue to do what we're doing. I think we've been pretty good the last couple of weeks, especially down in the ball into that red zone and giving our team field position stuff. So if we can do that and still make those plays, help our team win a game.
And then I asked Sean Sunday about the decision to not even let Will try that long field goal within the first half. How much do you have to play kind of the middleman? Because most kickers are going to tell you that, I'm good from almost anywhere that, inside 6.
Yeah, well, we take a look at where it's at pregame. The responsibility there is to make sure that our assets are ready to be employed anyway, right? So in that situation, you really have 3 options, whether it's to go for it or kick the punt or kick the field goal. So we just would need to make sure that whatever the call comes in, that we're ready to rock and roll. So, whether it was going to be to kick the field goal or punt it and pin them deep again, we were ready to go.
But is that tricky, I guess, because you want to have your kickers back, right? And if they're confident, playing in any situation versus the head coach, you kind of so you don't,
Yeah,
you don't
I think
scatter
that.
them, yeah.
Yeah, I think to speak to your point, a kicker will tell you, yeah, I got it from good from 75 yards, and that's a compliment to them and the confidence that they have. Our job is to be the voice of reason and make sure that we're taking everything into account, not only that specific kick, but the implications of making or missing, and then even punting the ball, right, whether you pin them and such. So, again, when you get into those areas where it could be a field goal, it could be a punt, could be a go for it, we just have to be prepared, and we were, to execute whatever coach calls.
Are you surprised when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, especially late in the game? Teams just don't mess with that kickoff. They just boot it out of there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by it. We just want some more opportunities, Mike. I mean, we think we got a really, really good returner back there. I think you're just weighing in a handful of things. I think the other thing that some people may overlook is you get through the game, attrition takes its toll, right? So maybe that kickoff team that you were going to employ in the first quarter looks a little bit different because, something's happened during the game to one of your assets that you really like running down the field. So that's a very dynamic process, as you're moving forward, and it's stuff that we always take into consideration. But, as far as the kickoff, we just like to get some more returns.
Tillman looks like he can help you on.
He will, very physical player. We liked what we saw in the preseason. He's really worked his tail off. I think he'll be an asset for us.
I think a lot of people were surprised to see Pat playing special teams, Pat Surtain play special teams. Is that something that we'll see more of, or was that a one-off situation?
A package that we had. So you're just employing, putting people in different positions. And so in that particular play, we just had a different package in there. So we may see that moving forward. Obviously, Pat's got a lot of responsibility on the defensive side of the ball. The cool thing about Pat is that's something that he likes to do. Like, he wants to be part of something bigger, and obviously we've had a pretty good punt return unit the last year or so. So he wanted to be part of it.
When you look at Marvin's start from a punt return standpoint, just how would you evaluate kind of how close he is?
Yeah, I think there's room to grow. I think that we've left a little bit of meat on the bone to a degree, and that's not only him, but just the blocking in general. We faced a really, really good punter there in week 1 with Dixon, and Waitman did a nice job last week. So, again, the more that we can get the ball in his hands, I think just the arrow is up, and that's what we're looking to do.